Hello again, everyone. You are listening to Red Road Paranormal Podcast. My name is Christina Bloom, and I am co-host of this podcast. And I can speak. I really can. I promise. With Bobby Resnick Calkins, and I am a psychic medium, a member of the paranormal group Adirondack Park Paranormal Society, and a descendant of Alaskan natives. What you got, Rez?
Hi everyone, I'm Rez, enrolled member of Stockbridge Muncie Tribe, paranormal investigator, cryptid investigator with the Wisconsin-based team, Cryptids Anomaly in the Paranormal Society. And today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, fellow team member, founder and lead investigator, Barnaby Jones. How's it going, Barnaby?
I'm doing good. I am doing good. I am Barnaby Jones. I'm a cryptozoologist and a paranormal researcher. I am the host of the show Monsters on the Edge on the Untold Radio Network and Whispers from the Dark. I am also the founder and lead investigator for Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society.
So what do you do in your spare time?
I work.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, people ask me that question too. What do you do in your spare time? I work. That's what I do. Yeah.
Yep.
Barnaby, you forgot to mention something in your credits, something new.
Something new. Yeah. Yes. In my spare time for from May until November for 3 hours a night after work, I have been working on our new book here, Bigfoot is Hiding: The Incredible True Story of Strange Activities in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. It is a 249-page book of all the weird stuff that has happened at a 80-acre private property in Upper Michigan. And it's all Bigfoot and Dogman and paranormal and you name it, from 2012 until this past year. And this comes out January 1st on Amazon.com. But if you see me in person, we also have available signed copies there too. So
That's awesome. I can't wait to read it. I spend a lot of time in the Upper Peninsula, and I've had some pretty interesting experiences up there. So I'm looking forward to reading that book.
Yeah, I've been up in that area with the team a couple of times, and it's very unique feeling. The whole atmosphere, it's amazing. That's all I can say.
Yeah, if you haven't been to the Upper Peninsula, it really is kind of its own world up there, isn't it?
yes.
It is.
So tell me, Barnaby, what exactly is a cryptozoologist for those out there that don't know?
Well, crypto comes from the Latin meaning hidden, and zoology, or I think I had that backwards. Crypto is Greek for hidden, and zoology is Latin for the study of animals. So cryptozoology is the study of hidden animals. So it's anything from, your typical Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and chupacabras, Mothman, all of those creatures. It also encompasses things that you would not think to be cryptids, which would be animals that are out of place, which includes things like the black panthers or the black cougars, which science does not actually admit that are true, but have been cited many times on trail cameras and personal sightings. And then it also includes things that are thought to be extinct, but still could be around, like the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, and other creatures like that, even like the Loch Ness Monster, the Mapinguari, which is a giant ground sloth creature, and Mokalia membe, things that are in Africa, like the long-necked dinosaurs that are thought to still be existing. So encompasses quite a bit of things, not just Bigfoot.
I had no idea it encompassed that much.
Oh yes.
That is really interesting because I think about things like, oh, the dinosaurs are extinct until you see an alligator.
Chicken.
Right?
Or chicken. Exactly. Yeah. Rez, I think you had a question. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you didn't cut me off.
Okay.
So, well, since you just threw it over at me, what's your favorite cryptid?
Oh, by far the chupacabra. That is my favorite. I was in elementary school when the big flap of chupacabra reports and stuff was coming out of Puerto Rico, and I did an entire research paper on that. That was one of the first things that I did for cryptozoology and that back in the day. I actually bought Lauren Coleman's book, Cryptozoology A to Z, as a research material, and I actually got it signed by Lauren Coleman a couple years ago. I got to meet him.
Nice.
That was really cool. But yeah, the chupacabra is obviously my favorite. It's most notably from like all the reports and sightings down in Puerto Rico. But you can, if you, a lot of these cryptids, if you take away the name of the creature and you look at the actual incident reports, the descriptions, and so forth of these things, you can track a lot of these animals, these creatures back throughout time and across different regions. So John Keel actually wrote about these being over in Europe back in the 1800s, and a rash of reports and sightings back then. So the very typical MO of the blood sucking, the draining of the blood, leaving the animal carcasses, and not actually eating these things. And well, for those of you on your show that don't know, chupacabra literally translates to goat sucker. And this term was coined by a radio DJ at the time of the 90s when all this stuff was going on in Mexico. And there's different things like Phyllis Canyon actually found a dead, what they believe was a chupacabra on her property. For anybody that's seen Monster Quest or pretty much any TV show that deals with the chupacabra, you see these weird hairless dog creature that she has taxidermied. And they did blood samples and analysis of this creature, and it turned out to be a brand new species. It is a hybrid of a Mexican wolf and a coyote. And so this is a new species. It is what they're calling the Texas blue dogs. But this animal is it is a species. There's actually a video of one up in Mississippi, I believe, was the latest one, and that was just this past year that somebody filmed one in their backyard, just going across. And they're the Texas blue dog creatures. But I do not, in my opinion, believe that these are actually the same creature as a chupacabra. The MO is completely different. These Texas blue dogs are an actual species. They're a hybrid of a canine. They attack, kill, and eat animals, whereas the chupacabras did not ever have reports of actually eating the carcasses. They would just kill them and then have the 2 puncture wounds, and then they'd be completely drained of blood. So I don't think they're the same thing.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
Okay.
Hi, Christina. Welcome to the show.
Well, I'm just thinking, that sounds reminiscent of a vampire, but for goats, like
I was thinking the same
interesting.
thing.
Yeah. So my head, sorry about the face I just made. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this whole thing. I didn't know anything about chupacabras. So everything I now know, you just told me. So, I remember the name. I remember something in the 90s about hearing about chupacabras. I thought they were like actually a species, like you could go to a zoo and see a chupacabra. I didn't know it was a cryptid.
So actually the oh boy, I should really know this. Not Austin. San Antonio. San Antonio Zoo in Texas actually has a chupacabra exhibit. They have like a stuffed creature thing on exhibit, but it's just a made up thing just to
Okay.
talk about the story and stuff of it. But and that's actually where Ken Gerhard volunteers as a docent down there. So he actually did the talk on the chupacabra exhibit for Halloween a couple years ago when they released it there. But yeah, it's not a, well, the Texas blue dog is a real creature, but the Puerto Rican chupacabra is, well, I'm not gonna say it's not a real creature because I love the little guys, but I don't know. It's not a Texas blue dog. It's not what they're claiming it is. But it does bring up a weird thought while you guys were talking there, that if a vampire is a person who drinks blood, what if a person accidentally bit a goat and turned the goat into a vampire, and now this vampiric goat is running around draining other goats?
And
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole we go.
It didn't finish the meal. It got interrupted, left some of it behind, and voila, we get a
Ah,
transformation.
okay.
There you go.
All right. I love that. I am learning a lot. I am learning a lot. This is awesome. Um, I'm going to go to the other end of the spectrum. I'm going to go to which cryptid do you think is so over talked about we just need to stop?
Ooh, ooh, boy. That's a tough one. I've never been asked that. Um,
It's what I do.
yeah. I don't I'm gonna say I don't think there's any. I
Okay.
think that every creature, like I talk about this a lot on my show, that when you're dealing with these creatures, you have to look at where they're coming from. A lot of these reports go back to the indigenous people for Bigfoot, the North American indigenous people, your African tribes out in the deep of Congo, up in the Himalayas, the tribal people up there, the Tibetan monks and all that that are seeing these creatures. Now, for the most part, you look back in history, these reports of all these creatures go so far back that you look at the way these people lived. They were living off the land. They were surviving out in the wilderness. Everything they ate, wore, lived had to be survived. So why would they make up these stories if they're not seeing something out there? They know what a big cat sounds like. They know what these wolves, what bears, what cougars, all these animals of North America and all the animals, the hippos, the elephants, the rhinos of Africa, they know what all these creatures are. And when somebody comes in and says, are you sure it's not a bear that you saw? Um, their lives depended on this. They know what a bear sounds like. They know what an
Yes.
elephant looks like. They know what these creatures are. So it's very important that we take these reports and take them seriously because they go back so far into history before there was the internet, before there was the legends and the hoaxes and all this other stuff going on. The one thing that does give me a pet peeve though is the Patterson Gimlin footage. Everybody wants to talk about this, and well, do you think it's real? Do you not think it's real? If there's one thing in cryptozoology I think we need to stop talking about, it's the Patterson Gimlin footage. Without a doubt, it is real. We could spend an entire day discussing why it's real, why it's not a person in a suit, why the muscle movements underneath the skin are real, why all this stuff is real. It's done. It's proven, in my opinion, in a lot of people's opinions that have researched it and gone over it. That is the one thing that I would stop talking about. I haven't done a show on it on my stuff, and I just don't feel like it needs to be done anymore. It's been beaten to death. It's a real video. Let's move on.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't
Yep.
agree more. I mean, it's like we've done a show on Bigfoot from a spiritual aspect
Mhm.
with a couple. In fact, that one's coming out Thursday this week. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I'm really tired of seeing that footage too. I'm really like seriously, there have been so many other videos
Mm.
of Bigfoot creatures. We can just stop talking about that one now. I agree.
And I think it's definitely important, and it
Yes.
is without a doubt. But to try and go back and validate it, and is it real? Do you think it's real? Do I think it's yeah, it's real. Let's go.
Let's
So
just move on.
mhm.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so I was going to ask about, and I'm sorry if I'm interrupting a thought pattern for Rezi. Looked like he was going to say something there. Uh,
No, we're good.
I have been, I don't know. I get in these phases where I watch certain types of TV shows, and I have been watching a lot of the shows where things are recorded on like ring cameras or trail cams and that sort of thing that catches a whole bunch of other stuff. What do you think is? Do you think that that's maybe more valuable than someone holding a camera and going back and having a better opportunity to maybe change what's on it or edit it somehow? I don't know enough about the equipment for one thing, but can you edit those videos? Are they editable, I guess?
Any video footage is editable.
Okay.
Even going back as far as film footage and stuff, you can edit, you can layer and put stuff in. But when you're looking at, well, we'll stick to the newer stuff like you're talking about. But there's always the opportunity of CGI. There's always the opportunity for AI, artificial intelligence, to be put in there, and it's getting more and more prevalent in today's world to see stuff like that. When people post a lot of these Ring camera footage and stuff, a lot of the times it's misidentification. For anybody that's spent a lot of time watching security footage and security cameras, you have to have a lot of money to have a good security camera. And there's so much pixelation and the IR lighting, which is infrared light that allows you to see in the dark spectrum without having light or sunlight or anything. When you have that lighting available, it tends to manipulate, and there's a lot of factors that lead into misidentification. You know, a lot of times bugs or dust can look like orbs or a creature. I've seen like bugs on camera where people think it's like an alien or something in the picture, because you don't have that depth perception, because it could be way over here on the camera, or it could be way up here in the camera, and that's going to change the size of what you're looking at. You're going to see something really big here that looks like it's walking across a field, you know, 100, 200 yards away, and really it's inches from the camera, so it looks like it's out in the field walking, and it's not. But when you also have frame rate, which is how many pictures per second a camera takes. So the higher the frame rate, the less lag something has going across the screen. You see, like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but like my hand kind of looks blurry there. So the frame rate on the stream that we're watching here is probably pretty low. That's why it's being able to stream. And what that's doing is it's not taking enough pictures per second to get a clear image of my hand moving across the screen. So the higher the frame rate, which is like your 1080p or your 720, well, actually that's different, but that would be your pixels per screen, which adds to this as well. So the higher pixels per screen, your 1080, your 720 images of your video, that is in reference to how many tiny little dots per square inch are on your video. So the more little dots per square inch gives you a clearer picture, and the higher frame rate, which is how many pictures it takes at that pixel per minute, determines how clear your picture is. So if you have lower quality frame rate and pixelization, that leads to poor quality video.
That makes sense. Yeah,
Question,
it kind of does. It kind of does. But are they actually capturing some cryptids?
Here's what I tell you. You're never going to see anything unless you get out there. You're never going to capture anything on video if you're not recording. You know, a lot of your Bigfoot sightings are all road crossings, and a lot of people would have a lot more footage of Bigfoots and other weird things, creatures and stuff, if you would have a dash camera. And you can get a pretty cheap one for about $30. You can get higher end ones for a lot more than that. And, you know, again, that's going to go back to your frame rate and your pixels, the quality that you're going to get. But if everyone had a dash cam, if everyone had a Ring doorbell camera, you'd have a lot more footage. Your question was, is this stuff legitimate or is it being hoaxed? Well, I think, unfortunately, there is a lot of stuff being hoaxed and stuff out there. And a lot of the stuff that people claim is hoaxed is probably just misidentification. Like I said, you see an alien walking in your front yard and it's actually just a bug an inch from the camera. But it takes somebody that, you know, in all of these encounters, when somebody sees anything, your brain goes into that flight or fright mode. And you have to make a judgment. Is this something I know, or is this something I don't know? And in that couple seconds of the flight or fright response, you have to decide what you're looking at. And if you can't immediately identify that, you go into this fright mode, and people are misidentifying things that they've seen on camera or in person even. And that's where you get these hoaxed videos or hoaxed things, because people just aren't processing fast enough what it is that they're looking at.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
We're watching some of these videos you see online. I wish I had the bullshit button for them a lot of times. You know, just hit that button. Bullshit, fake, whatever. Pass it on to the next.
But here's the thing. From somebody that looks at a lot of footage and people send me a lot of stuff, I would rather have 100 fake, misidentified videos than miss one legitimate thing. So I'm never going to call bullshit on somebody. I'm never going to say, why the hell did you send that to me? Because I would rather have those. Same as any article, any news report that comes out, people are more than welcome to send them to me, because I'd rather see the same article 100 times than have nobody send it to me at all. And because you just never know, you know, people assume, he's already seen that. Oh, you already seen this video. Maybe I have, but then I'm going to go, oh, thank you for sending that to me. And I'm going to move on with my day. I'm not going to be like, oh man, you know, I got to see this again. You know, it's just how long is it
Oh,
take?
come on. You like that every time I send you something. Oh, what the fuck are you guys sending me now?
Yeah, but I
but
can do that to you because it doesn't hurt your feelings like somebody that, you know, all excited that, oh my gosh, I have this awesome video I'm gonna send him and he's gonna love it.
You know, if I send it to you, it's because I need a second eye on it. Someone a little more experience.
right.
You know, and you got it right there. You know, you've looked at so many hours of footage, it's unreal. More than I could ever have the patience to.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Although I have to say I have more patience with video than I do with audio because I have a somewhat of a hearing disability. So trying to get through, especially, oh, God help me, those uh, spirit box things that just make noise that hurt me. I never really hear anything in there that people say is in there. So, you know, do you also look at sound when you're looking at cryptid footage? I don't know if it's footage necessarily at that point, but
Evidence.
evidence, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We run audio recorders for as I was talking about the book here, The Hidden Adventure. We've been up there. I mean, in 2020, we were up there almost every weekend, and then we probably get up there about 3 times for expeditions a year now with our team and stuff, and then just random experiments that we do throughout the year. And we've had audio recorders running up there for weeks at a time. And to sit there and listen to that amount of audio is, I mean, I would have to listen to it for 24 hours a day for an entire week to get through it all. So what we use is a spectrum analyzer, and you can actually pull apart all the audio and see audio vocals, animals, birds, crickets, frogs, all that stuff. And it depends on the different hertz and the frequency of these audios. You can zoom into a certain spectrum on that chart and look for any what you would consider primary the area for Bigfoot. Now, that doesn't mean it can't show up other places on the chart, but all of your vocalizations, your howls, your whoops, some of the other lower tone vocals are all in a certain range on that chart. So I can literally like scroll through a week's worth of audio fairly quickly and just look for certain identifying marks on that audio, and then listen to just the clips that I want to listen to without having to look for every pitch and fall of the audio. If it's birds, if it's frogs, if it's anything else that's going on the property, it'll show as a distinct marker on there. Wood knocks, any of that stuff is a very distinct frequency, because all your birds, your frogs, your crickets, all that stuff is higher up. So you can tune all that stuff out. You can also filter your audio to eliminate all that to begin with, so you don't even have any of that in there. So it's fairly easy. Now, when you're looking at it from a paranormal side, I have not been able to do that with EVPs, because EVPs fall in such a low whispered tone that they are so low that they fall into the background static of the audio. It takes a very strong EVP to bust up out of that range and be visible on the spectrum. So you literally have to listen to all of that audio to pick out these EVPs. And I know this because when I am listening to stuff for Bigfoot or EVPs or etc., I can mark those on this thing and then go back and see what they look like on the chart. So when you first start with this, you still have to listen to hours and hours and hours of footage so that you know what sound you want to hear, what it looks like, and then you can look for it again to repeat.
Wow. I think that there are a lot of people who are probably listening to this going, well, I used to be interested in doing that, but that sounds like a lot of work.
I have hours of recordings to listen to just off of my personal recorders that it takes a lot of time.
It
You
does.
know, one night, if you're out for a couple hours, you figure if you're out for 4 hours and that recording's going, well, that's 4 hours just on that recorder. Now, if you have a secondary one going, now you just bumped up to 8 hours. That's a whole freaking shift at most people's jobs. And to find time that when you're out every other weekend or once a month, that adds up quick if you don't get on it right away.
That's why
does.
all of our caps shows on YouTube and stuff, it takes a year to edit them, because it's just that much work. I want to point out, for people that you said, I have it sitting here, that's why I can show you. But for anybody that doesn't want to sit and listen to audio after the fact and go through it all, I switched over now and I have a Zoom audio recorder here. It is very high audio quality and it has pass-through audio. So when this is running on an investigation, I can wear headphones and listen to it real time what's being recorded. So instead of going, is anyone here with us? Can you say your name? I can ask a question and listen for a real-time response. And then I don't have to go back and re-listen to this entire thing over again because I'm literally listening to it live. We also upgraded our one hard camera that our videographer uses, so she can listen to the live audio turned way up as well. So while she's filming all the paranormal stuff, she can listen to what's going on and also has a second live set of ears going. So it's taken a lot out of the editing time and everything so that we know, oh, there was something there and we can go back and look for it instead of having to go back through all these hours and hours of footage.
Yeah, that Zoom recorder is phenomenal. Just a few times you've had me slap it on, and it's crazy what it picks up. You know, you pick stuff up from across the room, across the house,
From up
you know.
floors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very, I mean, it depends how high you turn it up. When I have it, I turn it up as high as it'll go because I don't want to miss anything. And you do end up picking up things on other floors and stuff like that sometimes. But that's okay because you can, once you get the hang of it, you can tell, okay, this is in the room, this is outside the room, and so on. But I'd rather have too much information than not enough. And the other thing is, Rez, you've been on the team, you know what we're doing, but all of our team members, whenever we go Bigfooting or paranormal, etc., every one of us has a camera on us. And what that allows me to do is if I hear something upstairs, is it upstairs or is it in the room? I can go back and listen to every single person's audio from upstairs and cross-reference that with the audio that I picked up to make sure, is this the same voice that I'm hearing and it's just in another room or another part of the house? Or is this something else that isn't accounted for? And that's really important. But it also lends 7 times whatever we're doing, because now we have hard cameras that sit around a room to just document evidence or equipment that's running, plus all of our body cameras, plus our audio recorders. So for 3 hours of a paranormal investigation, we could have 36 hours of video and audio to go through, or more.
And that is a lot of information. I know I belong to a team too. And so far with that team, I have not been on an investigation just because of the distance that I am from my team. But I am part of the going through all the evidence. I'm a part of the evidence review. And boy, that can eat up a lot of time and it can eat up a lot of what is the word I'm looking for? Like space, I guess. But, since we're not using analog anymore, there's usually more storage space now on different types of equipment. But I'm going to ask a kind of a weird question here, and that is, since this is the Red Road Paranormal podcast, do you find different or more or less types of evidence when you're around where Native people live?
Before I forget, I do want to add one thing. You
Yeah.
mentioned it takes up a lot of room.
Yeah.
For anybody that's tech savvy, I have 9 12 terabyte hard drives next to me.
Are they all
That's
full?
8 of them are full. Yes.
Okay.
We are on our 9th. Well, I think we're starting the 9th one soon. We're on our 8th one right now. So, but yeah, there's 12 terabyte, and that is a lot.
Yeah.
It's about one 12 terabyte per year is what I go through. So,
Okay.
but as far as I would say, there's been certain areas that we've investigated that have had more activity depending on what happened there. We've had a lot of stuff down in Burlington, Wisconsin, and there was a war that had happened down there. I want to say it was between the whites and the indigenous people of that area. I can't remember offhand. But I think that was down there, and there was a settlement down there that got burned and destroyed, and we picked up all that from down there. We have investigated Astalon State Park. We have also investigated the Cahokia Mound down in St. Louis. And my problem with that, though, is I don't speak the native language. And when I was doing the stuff with Cahokia Mound down in St. Louis, which anybody who doesn't know is it is a earthen mound pyramid. It is the only pyramid known in the United States. It is over 100 feet tall. It is huge, massive earthen works. Very cool. Go check it out. Whole museum. There's actually a what do they call it? Log henge or something. It is like Stonehenge, but it's all made out of big logs. It's really cool.
Okay.
It's a reconstruction of it, but that's down there. But anyway, I'm afraid that when I do this investigation down there, that I didn't get any responses the way I normally would have, because either the spirits down there didn't want to communicate with me, or there was a breakdown of communication. The questions I'm asking are not the right questions. I'm not the person qualified to do that investigation, if that makes sense.
That does.
Even when you talk to tribes and stuff today, you talk to these people and they're so secretive because it is their information. They don't want to talk about Bigfoot and that, because they don't want people finding them. They want them left alone. They want them, their brothers,
Yes.
and so it's very hard to get into these areas and communicate with these people about this stuff. And I feel like the spirit world is going to be the same way. They're not going to all of a sudden divulge all their secrets because they've passed on. Even more so probably because now they're able to communicate with everything out there, and they know more, they have more information, and they're sure as heck ain't going to tell us that. So
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. And, Rez and I both being from communities like that, or having lived in communities like that, there are reasons why that information is closely guarded. And so,
Yeah.
history speaks. And as we're going through, and the whole point of doing this podcast when we set it up was to educate. And you have been incredibly helpful in that area, because you've shared a lot of information I knew nothing about. And I'm grateful for that, because there's a lot of information that obviously I wouldn't know, and probably a lot of our listeners won't know either. But I wanted to ask that because I know that it does feel different when I am near a community of Indigenous people. The energy is different than when I'm in a community of primarily European settlers, or Hispanics, or Native Africans. There are everyone has their own energy and their own culture, right? And we are such a melting pot of cultures that I was just curious if you had different energies when you're there than you do, let's say, I don't know anything about the property that you wrote the book on, but I'm assuming that your friend is probably not near a native reservation.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
There was it's in the book and stuff too, but this was before my time working there. But Brandon Frazier came out to the property. He is a tribal member, and I don't offhand know what tribe and stuff he was with, but he came out there with a group of his people and did a ceremony before entering the property, and they went back and they had what they thought was burial mounds on the property, and they got some different audio and stuff that they got. They heard a cow moo on the property, and what happened was they called back in their native language, and it responded to that. And so that was one thing that happened on the property, native related. And I know, Rez, we have done a couple experiments with audio, like a gathering song, a friendship song, and so on, that you have played out there. And we've got some definitely interesting results with that. The first time, not so much, but I know
Yeah.
this past time that we tried it by one of the structures, and we actually had what I would say is a very weird encounter. We were walking down the main trail, and there was something in the bushes on the side of the trail next to us following us along, and you couldn't see it, you couldn't pick it up on thermal, and we got to an opening, and we both went in towards it, and we heard bipedal walking of something about at like the two o'clock position, I would say, and then
Roughly, yeah.
over at about the 10 o'clock position. And
Yep.
this was about 10, 15 feet apart, across from each other. So there was thump thump over here, and then thump thump over here. So then we realized that there was two creatures walking bipedally right by us. And what happened was we took off in the direction of one of these creatures. We did not hear anything after that. We did not catch anything on thermal, and we did
Mhm.
not hear it move again after that. And we circled around to both of these creatures, and we did not find or see or encounter anything else in that area. But very clearly, there was something big, deer, bear, Sasquatch in there. It was a big creature, breaking sticks, snapping stuff off, moving through the leaves. It wasn't a squirrel. It was not a raccoon, porcupine. And even if it was, we still would have heard it. We would have stepped on it, or we would have got it on thermal.
Mm-hmm.
And this was right after we had done that experiment with the music again. So, and there's more
Yeah.
on that in the book. Go check it out. So,
That's awesome. That is really awesome.
Yeah, it's very unique up there. And some of the places that we've gone to as a team where there's been more of a native presence, I know I've picked up on a lot of different things. And it almost seems like with my heritage that they've basically are more able to interact, more willing to interact. I've noticed where some of the just the regular places we go to, I don't pick up on as much.
mhm.
Seems like. So yeah, it's definitely unique when it comes to them different areas where there has been, indigenous land, people living on the land, whether recently or in years past.
I have a lot of that too. And I think I'm a particular kind of mixture of ethnicities where different cultures are willing to talk to me because they identify whatever part of that in me resonates with them. I was again in the UP because it's so magical there. Like if you've not been to the UP and you're sensitive, it is magical up there. And there were a group of us who went into a vortex on my friend's property, and I had my ghost detector just on my phone running on airplane mode, so it wasn't picking up any Wi-Fi or anything. And I had sung a welcome song or a good morning song. I forget what it means exactly, but I remembered it. And well, first it started singing through me and I hadn't remembered it, but as time went on, I did. And after we left there, a friend of mine said, "Turn on your EVP thing for a minute." So I did, and we heard the voice of a child singing the same song back to us, which I thought was pretty cool.
Mhm.
I just have to
Yeah.
figure out how to make that thing record. I haven't figured that out yet. I need more technology training, Barnaby.
I was gonna say this was a cryptid conversation that turned into a tech class.
Yeah, it kind
Right.
of did, but I think that's important because
Mhm.
it helps people to understand, is what I'm looking at actually what I think I'm looking at.
And that's very important. I do a whole presentation on paranormal and tech and stuff because, we all use EMF meters, we all use all this technology, but if you don't understand what the equipment is doing and what interferes with it and how it works, you're going to be getting false readings. You're going to be like, "Oh, something's here," and really it's just something completely mundane causing it to trigger, but because you don't understand what it is that it's doing, you're not getting an understanding of how it's working, and that's as much important as the paranormal. It's great for validity, and to we work with great spirit mediums and stuff on our team, and when they feel something or see something and the equipment reacts and responds in a similar way, saying yes, there's something over there, and they see and talk to something over there, it all correlates better than just saying, "Oh, that device is going off over there," or, "Oh, I feel something over there." It puts it all together, and it's great that you can see all this working and gives validity to what both device and person and everything are picking up. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having spirit sensitives on your team really gives context to the information that the equipment gets.
yeah, we have
Agreed.
we have great mediums on our team. I have Stephanie Lynn and Ellie Weisensell. Both were well, Stephanie has her own show as well, and Ellie's been on there quite a bit. And I know you've been on there, I think, and stuff. And they're both awesome. They do a great job with what they do. And everyone is very skeptic. I am very skeptical about mediums and sensitives and all that stuff because I mean, in the world we live in, you really need to be.
Right.
And both Stephanie and Ellie have pulled some stuff out that there's no way that they could have known or even researched. We have an investigation coming out on YouTube this year of the Al Ringling Mansion. And it is going to be a phenomenal episode. We worked a lot on this and did a lot of background, and it's going to be a really cool episode when it comes out. And in one part of the show, you're going to see that Stephanie goes into a location in the house and she gets this random name, and it turns out that the name was a person at a different circus that led to this whole chain of events that happened, and all this stuff happened, you'll see in the show, and it all comes together, and there's absolutely no way that she should have known this guy's name. And it is a pivotal part of the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus, of why it became Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. That the name is key to this. But if you didn't know that name, because he's not a Bailey, he's a completely different cousin, whatever, and there's no way she could have known this information. And she got this from the other side, and it all fell in, and it's an amazing thing to watch because I 100% believe in everything that they do on my team. So
Oh, and I know both of them personally. I consider both of them to be friends, and they are very accurate. They
absolutely.
are. So there's an endorsement for Stephanie Lynn and Ellie Weisensell. Um, yeah, I mean, if I was going to go to someone for a reading, those two would be, in the top 5 for sure.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. I don't back very few psychic mediums, but they got my stamp of approval after working with them for the past year and a half or so that we've been working together. There's things that I've picked up on and they've given me validation, or things they've kind of led me down to say, "Hey, check this out, work with this." different things to kind of help me. And there's been times where, they've come across things that just kind of blew my mind, so I definitely endorse both of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And as someone who does that for a living myself, I'm very careful about who I would go to for
I will say,
psychic reading.
not to suck up, but I did
Yeah.
get to see you in action this past year as well, and you were very impressive as well.
Well, thank you.
So I do believe a lot of the stuff that you said, and that you have the abilities that you claim. And I mean that in all honesty and sincerity, and the best way possible I could say it. But
Yeah.
I do believe it, and I would give you an endorsement as well. And if we're shouting people out, I would also like to give an endorsement to Angela Zabel, who we have worked.
Yes.
She's not part of our
Yep.
team, but
Mhm.
Angela has been part of an episode that we did with the UFOs in Wisconsin, and she worked the gallery reading for our convention last year, and she'll be back at the Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention this year on June 1st in Marinette, Wisconsin, and she'll be doing the gallery reading again Saturday night. And she definitely impressed the audience there. Excuse me, and she definitely is legit as well.
Yeah. It's amazing how there are so many people in this field who are not, but we all know the real ones. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Any last words on cryptids?
I mean, I have to go to work, but I have, I could talk all day otherwise.
Yeah, I was watching the time and thinking, oh, Barnaby's going to have to check out of here pretty soon.
I got
Right.
a little while yet, but yeah. I mean, I always tell people, go out and look. If you're interested in the topic, you're interested, find somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. There's so many people in the cryptid world that there are no experts. Everything that I know is what I believe, what I've experienced, what I've seen, or what makes sense to me. None of this is fact. None of this is true. It's all a matter of opinion. So there are no experts in the field of paranormal, Bigfoot, any of this. We're all
Right.
just doing the best that we can. But on that note, learn for yourself, form your own opinions. Do not let your opinions guide your research. Let the research guide your opinions. And you're never going to find anything sitting on your couch. You got to get out there and look. Be safe. Tell some people where you're going. And I mean, you don't have to go out in the deepest, darkest woods to find things. You can drive down the road in any wooded area, drive slow, drive careful, and you might see something cross the road, because that's where most of your sightings are. And even if you do go out in the woods, I mean, look at all the stuff we got out in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. The woods is literally across the river from pretty much downtown Rhinelander, and there was Bigfoot in there. So you do not need to go into the middle of nowhere to find these things. If you're meant to find them, they will find you.
Have you been to Rhinelander? It is the middle of nowhere.
Hey now,
I grew up in
I'm in
Minocqua.
Rhinelander several times a year, so
All
yeah.
I can say is,
Yeah.
like, Minocqua's my hometown. All of that is the middle of nowhere.
I consider Rhinelander just past Wausau. So
Yeah. About an hour and a half. Yeah.
just past.
Just past. Well, I want to thank you. Do you have any big events coming up that you want to tell people? I know you've mentioned the one in May and June. Yeah, the conference.
So we said this was coming out in December. So my other events are all done for the 2023 season. And so far, the stuff that I have scheduled at this moment for 2024, we are going to be May 18th. We are going to be in Rhinelander, Wisconsin at the Hodag Heritage Festival.
Of course you are.
Pioneer Park. Pioneer Park. I keep wanting to say historical center, but it's Pioneer Park, I think.
Yes.
And the Pioneer Park Historical Museum is there too, so I always kind of combine the two. But right there, downtown Rhinelander, it's a huge festival. I think this is going to be the 4th year, I believe. I've been at all of them. Chad Lewis has been at all of them, so it's a great event. I don't know who's speaking yet this year. I haven't been asked to speak. I spoke the last 2 years, so I don't know. I think Chad will be speaking probably. Beyond that, not sure what's going on at that one. And then June 1st, we are going to have the Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention in Marinette, Wisconsin. Myself, Chad Lewis, because he's, awesome.
Yes, he
Doug
is.
Hychek and Rich Daniels will be speaking at that one. And then, as I said, Angela Zabel will be giving the gallery reading at 7 o'clock on Saturday. And myself and Rich Daniels will be doing a Bigfoot hike on the Hayden Adventure property the Friday night prior to that, which is May 31st. We also do a Bigfoot hike in conjunction with the Hodag Heritage Festival as well. And for all that information and more, you can check out wisconsincaps.com right here behind me. You can find us on YouTube and all of your social media platforms at Wisconsin Caps or WI Caps on Instagram. And January 1st, check out Bigfoot is Hiding, the incredible story of strange activities in Upper Michigan, available on Amazon.com. And I will have the links for all this on our social media as well.
And for those of who are listening to the podcast and not seeing the video, Bigfoot is Hayden. Hayden is spelled Hyden.
Yes. And it is not Craig's last name. It is nobody's last name. It is because Bigfoot is always Hayden.
Hayden. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Hide and seek champion.
Rez, how can people get a hold of you and for what? You have got a lot of stuff going on.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Of course, always on Facebook, Resneck Inc. You can get a hold of us on the Red Road Paranormal page. Keep up on what things that I'm doing with the team, like Barnaby said, over at wisconsincaps.com. We're on our YouTube channel. Other than that, that's about all I got going on at the moment.
Awesome. I do psychic readings and past life regressions, and I can do that over the phone, over the internet, or if you want to catch me at one of the many events I'm going to be at. I am going to be circling around a lot, especially in the early part of next year, around Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan. So you can find me in a lot of those places. Awesome. Thank you, Barnaby, for coming on and sharing all of your technical expertise as well as your cryptid expertise. I know that a lot of people are going to be, writing down, rewinding, wait, what did he say? And writing it down to go check out some of the stuff that you said. And for now, we are signing off and see you next time.
See you on the
Catch you
edge.
later.